In the sweep of God's arm as he set the stars in the heavens, in the roar of the tide as the Red Sea was parted, in the gentle notes from the harp of a shepherd boy, and in the thunder of the crash as the giant fell. It is a history of a God who delights in surprising us with glimpses of glory where we least expect it, but never quite so amazingly as that night so long ago, when he came, of all places, to a stable in a little town called Bethlehem. The hope of a waiting nation, the living fulfillment of an ancient promise. There he was, with 10 fingers, 10 tiny toes, a small, fragile vessel of God's infinite power. In him all the hopes and dreams of men and angels were realized. And while the world slept unaware, the heavens broke forth in rejoicing. Surely this was the greatest news. It should have been announced at the temple. It could have been made known by proclamation in the town square. The new king might have ridden in with his armies to banish Caesar and his soldiers for good. But God chose to come quietly in the night, not even on a main street or in a comfortable home, but out back in a stable with only the animals to attend. A sheep, a cow, a carpenter and his young wife, and a band of shepherds were the only ones that night who knew that God's glory had broken upon the earth. Or that those with great wealth would be too busy making their fortunes to answer his call. But most certainly he intended that only those who could see with the eyes of faith would be able to behold his coming. For wise men and temple leaders would be confounded by him, while fishermen, God had come to us, but only a few would recognize him. As the scripture had foretold, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. God chose to forsake the glory of heaven and to walk among us, knowing he would be despised and rejected. For the moment that the star shone its light above the manger, the shadow of a cross was cast upon the earth. And the baby cradled in the hay was born for one purpose, to die for us all. But only a handful of people saw it. A centurion on the hillside whispered in awe, surely this was the Son of God. A thief dying by Jesus' side saw it and found the door to heaven. But most of the crowd never realized. They had been looking for a leader, not an outlaw, a king, not the Prince of Peace. No one expected God's glory to be found in a stable, or in a child's simple lunch of loaves and fish, or walking beside the sea, or hung on a cross. And what about you and me? Are we so different? God's glory is flung before us in 1,000 different colors each day. The gold of autumn, the green of spring, in the laugh of a child or the face of a friend. In a hospital room, at a kitchen sink, or in the noise of traffic. In everyday ordinary places like these, his glory is all around us.